The Whisper of the Doll, Episode 6, The Source of the Curse. Rika sat across from the shopkeeper, her heart racing as the gravity of his words sank in. The bond between her and the doll wasn't broken. Despite destroying the mirror, the doll's malevolent spirit still lingered, its presence now fully entwined with her own life. She had no choice but to seek out the source of the curse or risk being haunted forever. "How do I find the source?" Rika asked, her voice low but firm, trying to suppress the fear bubbling inside her. The shopkeeper's eyes were filled with regret as he flipped through the ancient book again, searching for the answer. It said that the curse originates from a place tied deeply to the doll's creation. Somewhere in the past, this object was given life through dark rituals, perhaps tied to the spirit of the one who originally owned it. But without knowing more details about the doll's origins, finding the exact location could prove difficult. "What else do we know about the doll?" Rika pressed, desperation seeping into her words. She couldn't bear the thought of living another day with the threat of the doll looming over her. The shopkeeper paused, his hands tracing the faded text on the page. "There is one clue, a name. Elena, the girl who disappeared long ago, was the last to own the doll. Before her, it passed through many hands, each leaving behind a trail of tragedy. The curse was always activated when someone's fear fed it. But it was with Elena that the doll truly took on its full power, for reasons I cannot fully explain." Rika's mind raced. She had met Elena in the strange, otherworldly realm the mirror had drawn her into. The girl had been trapped there, bound to the doll's dark influence. But if she had managed to free Elena from that place, then why was the curse still continuing? What was the real source of this evil? "I have to find out more about Elena's family," Rika murmured, standing up. "They might hold the key." The shopkeeper nodded, looking older and wearier than before. "Be careful, Rika. The further you dig, the closer you'll come to the heart of the curse, and the more dangerous it will become. I can feel the presence of the doll already growing stronger." Rika thanked him and left the shop, stepping out into the night. The streets were quiet, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Every shadow seemed to shift, and every whisper of wind felt like the doll's presence lingering just out of sight. The next morning, Rika found herself sitting at the local library, poring over old records and archives. She needed to know more about Elena, about her family, their home, and anything that could lead her to the curse's origin. Hours passed as she sifted through documents, her eyes scanning for clues. Finally, she came across an old newspaper clipping. The headline read, "Mysterious Disappearance of Elena Tavella, Heir to the Tavella Estate." The article described the disappearance of Elena, an 8-year-old girl who vanished under mysterious circumstances over 50 years ago. The Tavella family, wealthy and well-known in the region, had suffered numerous tragedies before Elena's disappearance. The mansion where they had lived, now abandoned, was located on the outskirts of town, deep in the forest. "This is it," Rika whispered to herself. The mansion was where it all began. She copied down the address and left the library, determined to go to the Tavella estate. The house had been empty for decades, its dark history making it a place of local legends and ghost stories. But Rika knew that if she wanted to end the curse, she would have to face whatever horrors awaited her there. The drive to the Tavella estate was long and lonely. The road wound through thick woods, the trees growing more dense and ominous the further she drove. Finally, after what felt like hours, the old, crumbling mansion came into view. It was exactly as she had imagined, tall, gothic, and foreboding, with vines creeping up its walls and broken windows staring out like empty eyes. The wind howled as Rika stepped out of her car, and she felt a chill run down her spine. There was no turning back now. She approached the rusted iron gates, pushing them open with a loud creak. The air was thick with the scent of decay and damp earth. As she made her way toward the front door, her mind raced with thoughts of what she might find inside. Was the source of the curse hidden somewhere within these walls? And would she be able to confront it alone? The door was unlocked, and with a deep breath, Rika pushed it open. Inside, the house was eerily silent. Dust covered every surface, and the air was thick with the weight of years of abandonment. But beneath the silence, Rika could feel something, an energy, a presence lurking just beyond her sight. "Elena, are you here?" she called out, her voice echoing through the empty halls. There was no response, but she wasn't expecting one. She knew that Elena was no longer tied to this world in the way she had been before. But the curse that had trapped her was still very much alive. Rika began exploring the house, her footsteps careful and deliberate. Every corner she turned, every door she opened, seemed to bring her closer to the heart of the mystery. At the back of the house, she found a door that led down to a cellar. The heavy wooden door groaned as she opened it, revealing a dark, narrow staircase descending into the earth. As she descended, the temperature dropped, and Rika shivered as she reached the bottom. The cellar was vast, filled with old, forgotten furniture and crumbling stone walls. But there, in the center of the room, stood something that sent a wave of dread through her, an altar. The altar was covered in symbols, similar to the ones she had seen in the other realm, but these were carved deep into the stone. Atop the altar lay what appeared to be an old, weathered book, its pages yellowed and fragile. Rika approached it cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. As she opened the book, she saw drawings of the doll, its exact likeness, along with descriptions written in a language she didn't understand. But one word stood out, repeated several times throughout the text: obscura. What does this mean? Rika whispered, flipping through the pages. She wasn't sure, but she knew that this book held the key to breaking the curse. Suddenly, a sharp gust of wind blew through the cellar, extinguishing her flashlight. The room was plunged into darkness, and Rika felt a wave of panic wash over her. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice shaky. From the shadows, a soft, familiar voice answered. "You can't leave. It's too late." It was Elena's voice, but something was wrong. The tone was twisted, dark, as if the curse itself had taken control of the girl's spirit. The darkness pressed in around Rika, and she felt a cold hand brush against her arm. She backed away, her heart racing. She needed to get out of there, but the cellar seemed to stretch endlessly, trapping her in its suffocating grip. "Elena, please," Rika begged, her voice trembling. "Tell me how to stop this." But there was no response. Only the sound of distant footsteps echoing in the darkness. 6.